Okay folks, it is that time of year again. It's the end of the season. Anything like tomatoes, peppers wise, whatever in the greenhouse is finished. It's now time to clear it out, give it a good clean, and then we're going to do something a bit different this year. So first things first, I need to get it cleared out and get it cleaned. We've got a gazebo up because it's just pretty much raining on and off and on and off and on and off. Okay, here goes. We're now in one very empty greenhouse and it can get cleaned. So that was the whole point, get it empty so it can get a good clean. This staging is the serious heavy duty stuff. This one doesn't get moved out because it's just too heavy and bulky. We'd have to take it apart. Nah, not happening, we'll work around it. The other two, as usual, they've been flat packed and taken out and they can get brushed down, and it means in here can get cleaned. Then the shelves will come down and the mop and soapy water comes out. Same as every year, but it's so much faster when you've got a glass greenhouse than polycarbonate. So that's next. Kate's just finishing up the last bits and bobs. We'll open it all up and let it vent while we go get some lunch and get it dried. Then the next job happens. Never done this one before. Not sure what to expect. But, bubble wrap. Okay, here's the next fun and games. Everything is beautifully clean. Kate did a fantastic job, loads of effort. And she's just amazing. Look, talk about a worker. So she's currently getting it all as dry as we possibly can, because once this next step happens, there's going to be no venting. So we want it to be totally bone dry. But this is what's next. We're going to try and put bubble wrap up for insulation. It's that whole traditional old gardener's way of doing things to insulate the greenhouse in the winter. We have never done this before, so we'll see. Honey, how do you think this is going to go? It'll be great. Oh God. But we'll see you when we finish this bit then. Wish us luck.
Before you fill your greenhouse with plants to protect them over the winter months, it's a good idea.
It's just the madness of all the excess that we have to find.
Yeah, we'll just need to find how to fold it and pin it.
So yes, we did heaps of work in the garden yesterday. Don't know if you can see from here, but there's still stuff I need to get done. So you're not getting in the greenhouse just yet, because I've got some cleaning and tidying up and finishing from yesterday. Then we're going in the greenhouse because there is so much to chat about. So first, sneaky glimpse. That's all you're getting. That's it. But first, I've got to get all of this lot cleared up. So, This is all the stuff from the greenhouse that had the tomatoes and peppers and stuff in it. I need to get it all emptied. I need to get it sorted to decide what goes in compost, what doesn't, all that kind of stuff, and get it all cleaned before I can get it stored away over winter. This is the bits that aren't fun, but necessary. Now here's an interesting thing. No slugs this year. You guys who followed me with the whole thing with the quad growers know that I have battled slugs with them. I now make it standard practice that I put copper tape on them all. Seems to be doing the job. Be interested when we open up the new style quad grow and see how that is. But this one, it's another super useful tool. I've no idea what this is called. Kate bought me this. It's a spiky clawy thing that is just fantastic. Oh, I use it when I'm getting the compost out the bin as well. So, old root ball. And this is one of the feeder mats that's inside the quad grower. So you can see that the roots kind of grow through it. Now, I have always thrown these away. I've never even considered keeping them, which I now feel really guilty about. But I was watching Tony Smith, or Tony C. Smith, his channel's called. I'll put a link in the description. But he uses something similar. I think it's GeoGrows he's got. He uses them on his allotment. And I caught a video the other week where he was actually washing these ready for next year. And it was like a light bulb. I was like, I could reuse them. So that's what I'm going to do. So Tony, if you're watching, thank you very much for the inspiration, mate. You've saved me pennies. Well, what a busy weekend it's been in the garden. As you can see, there's been lots going on. So I'll tell you about all of this in a second. I'm taking a wee break. I've just finished cleaning all of the quad grow stuff. And I'm happy to report slug count 3, and one of them was a tiny baby. Funnily enough, no slugs on any of the quad grow systems that were in the greenhouse. It was on one that was perfectly bone dry and had already been cleaned, and I'd left it outside last night. So I think slug count might actually officially be 0, really. Having them up off the floor and copper tape seems to make a difference. But anyway, I'm going to have a cup of tea and a biscuit, and then I'm going to get back to you because I've got some more stuff to talk about. The last things that I'm doing in here. So yes, here we are. Oh, finally finished the majority of the chores for this weekend. But the last thing I've got to do is, as you guys know, I'm going to try and keep as many of my herbs going over winter as I can. So I've got basil in here. So what I did was I took my 4 big basil plants out of the quad grow they were sitting in. So I've got one. Oh, I love the smell. I can't help it every time. I've got one in a pot sitting in here. I've got one in a pot on the window ledge in the kitchen, so I'm hedging my bets in case they don't survive in here, because I've never done this before. It's an experiment. So one on the kitchen window ledge, and the other 2 went with the lovely Lindsay, who's a local gardener, who put a wee comment on Instagram saying that surprise frost that we got, it killed her basil. So I thought, since she's local, she could come round and she grabbed 2 of my spare plants, all socially distanced, of course. But she's quite happy now, adopted 2 new basil plants, so she's basil mum from along the road now. So what I have to do next is parsley, because you know me, basil, rosemary, tarragon, that's the kind of stuff I love. Kate cannot go without her parsley. Parsley is Kate's #1 herb, and she can't stand the thought of going through winter without it. So that is my little tiny parsley plant from the garden. It's actually the second plant because the other one got so crazy and huge and mad we had to replace it. So I'm going to pot this up on a little pot for the kitchen window ledge for her. I'm going to pot up a little pot. I'm going to pot a little pot of tarragon for me, and that's all for the kitchen window ledge. And then I've got another super awesome thing to talk to you about. It's a biggie. I warned you, this week's video's a biggie. I've done a lot this week. I should be saving these all up so that I've got heaps of videos to go right through winter, but I'm not very good at that. But anyways, so I've got these gorgeous little pots, little short, wide terracotta pots for the kitchen window ledge, because, you know, if they're going to be in the house on display, they have to look okay. That's like a rule. And I'm not doing up anything unusual, nothing new. You guys know all of this stuff because we're all gardeners. So, there we go. Wee pot of parsley. Next one is the tarragon. Now this is a bit scary. You guys saw that I took some cuttings, okay? Now I said at the time I wasn't sure how these were going to do because it's not the best time of year for taking cuttings because it's a bit cold now. They're not dead, they haven't died. Still no roots on them though. Normally I would have expected these guys to have rooted by now, so we'll just have to wait and see. The opposite of that though is the basil, which I'm now not going to need, but it has started to root. So it just shows you. That leads me on to another biggie. Now, I'll need to go and look this up. Hang on. Well, that was really disappointing. I went to have a look up because somebody commented recently, like in the last month I think it was, about keeping pepper plants going over winter. And I had said that it's not something I've ever done, but we decided together we were both going to do it. And I wanted to give you a shout out, but I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name and I can't find it now. I know it was a guy, so that, you know, really narrows it down. But anyways, whoever you are, I'm so sorry I forgot your name, but this is for you. So are you ready? Cup of tea. I'm loving these shells, they're so handy, even just for my cuppa. Right. This is way heavier than it looks, by the way. Here we go. So, this chilli is one of the Romas. Not a chilli, Eli. It's not a chilli, it's a pepper. It's one of the Roma peppers. It's actually the one that was sitting over here at the side. I'm actually going to take this indoors with me and I'm going to try and keep it alive over winter to give me that head start in spring, okay? I don't know if this is going to work. Looking at all the research about it, it's a kind of 50-50 chance thing. So we're just going to have to see. But what I have done, what you do to help this along, can you see how basically there are no leaves on this? And I've cut all the branches right back to the Y, you know, when you get the two branches sprouting. So I've done that. I'm going to pot it up in a smaller pot so I can take it into the house. And pretty much I'm not going to do much more with it. I'll make sure it's somewhere light and warm and give it very, very occasional water over winter. Other than that, I'm not really going to do anything with it or expect anything from it. The idea is just to keep it alive. That's all, okay? So I will keep you guys updated on that type of thing because, you know, it's always fun when we keep each other updated in all our adventures. Oh, what else? Carrots. Doing really well. Not doing so well in the bed outside. There are some, they have finally sprouted. Not as good as these. Again, it's another experiment, we'll see how it goes. So, it has been one hell of a weekend this weekend. It is the big end of season, tear down, clear out, whatever you want to call it. But basically, this weekend has involved the annual clean of the greenhouse, which was a No, that's a lie, actually. Do you know what? It's not a massive task anymore. See, if you've ever had a polycarbonate greenhouse, you know how big a task cleaning the greenhouse can be. It is an absolute piece of piss when you've got a glass greenhouse, I have to be honest. So yeah, so we got it cleaned, all beautiful, all sparkling. Yeah, got it emptied out, got it all cleaned inside and out. Because, as you can see, another wee thing I'm trying out this year, I have never done this before, trying it for the first time, but it's that old gardener's tale about bubble wrapping your greenhouse as insulation. So I'm trying it out. Oh, this was fun. It probably took Kate and I about 2.5 hours to bubble wrap the inside of this small greenhouse. Kate has said that she will never complain about wrapping Christmas presents again. It's quite mad. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a bit at the back that keeps falling down because, well, the cool thing about this greenhouse, this is a rhino as I keep saying, but it's got channels that you can fit pegs in to hold things. So that's how the shelves are. The shelves are in these channels with the bolts fitting in the channels. So there's little plastic pegs that you can buy and you push them through into the channel and that holds the bubble wrap in place. But there are not channels everywhere. So on the two end gables when you get up high there aren't any channels and there aren't any in the roof bits. So those bits were quite difficult to get the bubble wrap to stay. So we've had to kind of tape it in those bits. But actually, it wasn't as bad a job as we thought it was going to be. We expected it to be much worse. I did actually, before we did this, I've spent a few weeks watching other YouTube videos so that I could get an idea for this. I should really say thank you and a call out because one of them actually really helped. So let me see. I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong as well, which is why I can't remember it. Okay, so the channel I looked at is from Ireland and it's Gardening at Duensa, I think it's pronounced, but it's a lady in Ireland that did a video all about bubble wrapping her enormous greenhouse and her son Sam helped her and it was so helpful. I have to be honest, when I first watched it I was like, what? Is she off or not? Because she bubble wrapped one layer that way and then the next layer that way and I was thinking that doesn't make sense, surely you go that way in strips. But I take my hat off to you who obviously knew more than me and we ended up doing it that way because it just worked so much better. It was much easier and it was a better use of the size and the bubble wrap. So if you fancy trying to bubble wrap your greenhouse, this is an 8x6 greenhouse and I got 2 rolls of 10 metres by, I think it's 1.5 metres it took to do this and it left me this nice wee chunk left over which is going to cover the door when I leave. What I'll do, as usual, I'll stick a link down for you so that you can see the wee pegs and the bubble wrap and all that kind of stuff so you can see for yourself. But yeah, so that was a fun weekend. The whole cleaning the greenhouse, bubble wrapping it. I then had to get all the quad grows cleaned, all of that kind of stuff. And got all the tomatoes and the peppers all cut back because, you know, it's the end of season for that stuff. It doesn't mean that that's it for the garden. We may not do the same type of gardening over winter, but you know, we're going to keep the garden going. We're going to try and keep some colour in it. I'm going to try growing some bits and pieces in here. As you guys know, I'm going to experiment with a few things. I'm actually looking forward to it. My big thing, I'm going to keep an eye and I'll keep you guys informed about the whole bubble wrap thing and what it does and doesn't do. I'm thinking I have to be really aware of humidity in here because obviously I can't open any of the vents, so it's going to rely on me opening the door to try and let some of the moisture and stuff out, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. I can tell you already in here today, it is warmer in here. It is definitely warmer in here with the bubble wrap. Also, it's much quieter. I really like it. It's like having a secret den. Or do you remember when you were a kid and you used to make a fort? That's what it's like in here. It's like Fort Eli. It's fab. It seems to just help with the noise. It's fabby. Because I live in a semi-detached, you know, I'm not out in the middle of the countryside. So I can hear my neighbours in the garden chatting and stuff. And kid on that side, the family on that side, I've got a teenage boy who plays guitar and piano and everything. So I'm very aware of my neighbours all the time. But the wee fly's really annoying. Haha, got you. It's a total Mr. Miyagi, that one. Yeah, so that is me waffling in the greenhouse as usual, because I know you guys like a good waffle in the greenhouse. And that is me. So I am going to bid you farewell from today's video, and I will see you next week. What have I got for you next week? No, I'm not telling you. I've got something cool next week. And I'm not telling, na 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 na. See you guys.